In our last episode, we saw early conflicts with the Sassanids eventually led the Muslim conquest of Hira in 633. From their base in Hira, now the Muslims have the capacity to launch further missions into the Sassanid heartlands. However, strategically it would be risky as there were still few Sassanid strongholds present on the eastern side of the frontier. Before the Muslims could move forward, they needed to take over these strategic locations. Actually, when Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu ordered the Muslims' army to start their conquest of Iraq, he sent two armies at the same time. One army led by Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu was ordered to approach Hira from the south. The other army, led by Ayad ibn Qum, was ordered to take the northern route through Daumat al-Jandal, secure the northern region of Hira, and then rejoin the other Muslim army to take control of Hira. The army under the command of Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu moved swiftly, securing one quick victory after another, and reached Hira much earlier than expected. However, the other army was not that successful. They were pinned down at Daumat al-Jandal by rebel Arab tribes, so they could not reach Hira as originally planned. Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu had to capture Hira without the reinforcement. Because of this, the northern region of Hira was still under Sassanid control, and this meant that they had the opportunity to attack the Muslim supply line from back. Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu understood this vulnerability and decided to rectify the situation. He planned to take control of these regions as soon as possible without waiting for the reinforcement. The two main forts in this region were named Anbar and Ain Tamr. Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu planned to take control of Anbar first. Accordingly, Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu took 9,000 men with him and marched towards Anbar. The Sassanids forces stationed in Anbar by that point in time knew very well how unstoppable the Muslim army was on battlefield. So they decided to face the Muslims defensively from inside the fortification of Anbar. Anbar was a well-protected commercial center with high walls dotted with towers surrounded by deep moat from all sides. And understandably, the Muslims were not much experienced in siege warfare. Once the Muslim army reached Anbar, Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu observed the situation. He understood that the fortification of the city would be a challenge for the Muslim army. But he also saw amazement and fear on the faces of the guards on top of the walls. He understood that these soldiers were not professional soldiers. Rather, most of the soldiers were from local tribes who did not know much about warfare. Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu decided to use this fact against the enemy. Just like in Hira, he ordered 1,000 of the best Muslim archers to gather near the narrowest section of the moat. As said before, these Muslim archers had larger range than their Sassanid counterparts. As the Muslim archers gathered along the outer perimeter, the Sassanids still could not realize what the Muslims were planning to do. Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu ordered the Muslim archers to aim for the eyes of the Sassanid guards and shoot arrows. Volleys of 1,000 arrows swooshed towards the Sassanid guards on the top of the wall in quick succession, and hundreds of guards either got killed or got injured by those arrows. This completely shattered their morale. Then the Muslims rolled out the next phase of their offense. They gathered old sheep and camels from their herd, brought them near to the narrowest section of the moat, slaughtered them and dropped the bodies of these animals into the moat. At the same time, the Muslim archers were continuously shooting arrows towards the enemy on the wall to give cover to the Muslim soldiers filling the moat. Soon, the narrowest section got filled and the Muslim could now easily cross the moat using the filled out moat. The Sassanid made one desperate attempt to repel the Muslims. They sent a sortie to push the Muslims beyond the moat but failed miserably in achieving their goal. Soon the Muslim soldiers started to scale the wall of the city. Experiencing the dedication and the ferocity of the Muslims, the Sassanid ruler of Anbar decided to surrender. The surrender was accepted by the Muslims, and soon the gate of Anbar was opened for the Muslims. Anbar came under Muslim control. Then the Muslims moved to capture another fort in northern Iraq, Ain al-Tamr. The governor of Ain al-Tamr also gathered the local tribes to fight along the Sassanids. However, he convinced the fighters from the tribe to advance forward from the city towards Anbar and meet the Muslim army on their way, while the Sassanid troops would stay in Ain al-Tamr to defend the city. Accordingly, the fighters from the local Arab tribes moved towards the approaching Muslim army, and the two armies met each other on an open field. According to the Arab tradition, the leader of the local tribes challenged the Muslim for a duel. Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu accepted the challenge from the Muslim side. Once the duel started, Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu started attacking the opponent with lightning speed and overpowered the Arab leader. Soon the Arab leader lost his weapon and Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu took him as prisoner. Being captured alive was the humiliating thing on battlefield according to the local culture during that time. So capture of their leader completely shattered the morale of the local tribes. Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu asked them to surrender, and most of them chose to surrender. Although some of them fled back to Ain al-Tamr hoping that they could regroup with the imperial Sassanid forces. The Muslim army also followed the retreating local tribes. But once they reached Ain al-Tamr, they saw that while the confrontation was going on between the Muslims and the local tribes, the governor of Ain al-Tamr and his imperial Sassanid troops had abandoned the city and fled to Ctesiphon. So there was no one to help the local tribes. Eventually the local tribes gave up and surrendered. Ain al-Tamr and its surrounding region came under Muslim Caliphate. Right after the conquest of Ain al-Tamr, Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu received a letter from the Muslims stationed in Daumat al-Jandal asking for help as the Muslims over there were in a grave danger. Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu did not hesitate to make the decision to help the fellow Muslims. He ordered Kaka ibn Amr to take command of the Muslim territories in Iraq temporarily, and he himself took 6,000 of his fastest troops to help the Muslims at Daumat al-Jandal. Led by the greatest general Khalid radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the fearless Muslim warriors were moving at lightning speed through the rough terrains of Iraq to help their brothers.